On this episode of Pimp My Setup, we're going to be talking about your setups you submitted for tips, tricks, feedback, and much more. So if you're interested in that, then sit back, relax, and interact because this show starts
now.
It's time for the original setup show dedicated to providing you with tips, tricks, and feedback to pimp out your setup. Hosted by Matt Philly with new special guests every week. Coming at you live in 3, 2, 1.
This episode of Pimp My Setup is sponsored by Sweepoly.com. It's an online daily cash giveaway that benefits children's hospitals. They have a daily giveaway that is absolutely free to join and only takes 30 seconds. By entering, you have a free chance to win up to $10,000 every day. So head on over to Sweepoly.com right now. We thank them for their support of Pimp My Setup, and I'm very excited because it is episode 61, and I'm feeling good. My name's Matt Philly. You can find me on Twitter at Matt Philly.
And I'm NMoosekeys. You can find me pretty much everywhere at NMoosekeys. Super hard to spell. It'll be in the description.
It will. Yeah. Trust me, I probably couldn't spell it if I had to. But it's all good. It's all good. So the pedo stash is gone. That's something we should note from episode 54. Yep. Now you're at this stage. So
now I'm at creepy hobo beard.
Yeah. So at least now we addressed it. But see, then you look at his hair and you're like, okay, his hair is like on point. So you know that he's not like homeless. I know some people were saying that. So yeah. My hair, on the other hand, I need help. But anyways, let's move into the setups because we got some good setups today. We only have 6, but they're interesting. And I really want a conversation, whether you're watching live or you're watching later, because trust me, I look at the comments of every Pimp My Setup up from now to the first episode, and people always rip me apart because they disagree, and that's awesome. So if you disagree, let me know, because that's the whole point of having a setup. People treat things differently. So let's go to the first setup. First setup is submitted by, well, his name says David in the email, but then he said his name was Johnny. So I don't know if he used his, dad's email account, but let's just call him David. So taking a look at this, you can kind of see that he's like in a dorm room situation. Based on that, how old do you think he is?
I'd say he is 20.
20. Which is interesting because I would say the same thing, but he's only 17. So I don't know where he's from, but
he's in a bunker somewhere.
Yeah, because he said that he lives at his school, but he's 17. So I don't know. Maybe that's the scenario going on. Regardless, though, with that in mind, because he can't change the walls, he can't change the floor, he's kind of limited to that. Still, a pretty dope setup, considering what you have. So what do you think overall about the setup? What is something you would change?
I like it a lot. I feel like maybe he's really short. I just see like the monitors are pretty low on that pole. Yeah. And typically you want them up to where it kind of hides the mounting point. But I think his cable management's really nice. Like you can see he's even anchored it to the like cinder blocks in the back, which is really cool. The car, he actually looks like he vacuumed, which is nice.
Oh yeah.
But I feel like there's almost like split personalities. Like on the left half, he's got his PC setup where it's really nice and really cool. And then on the right, he's got, the garbage. He's got the Beats pill, the headphones, and the Mac. It's weird, like split personalities setup, but I really like the black components more so than the white and silver components.
Yeah, well, some people would disagree because they're like, "What? You disrespected my Beats?" But trust me, I'm not even a fan of Beats, but I know some people are. They swear by them, which they obviously haven't listened to quality. But I agree. Like there is kind of that split personality, but let's be honest, he probably uses the laptop for actually getting work done.
Or takes it to class with him if he lives at school. So I get it. Yeah,
and then on the left, he's probably gaming, and like that's like it is like a split personality. It's like the good kid, and then the kid that's just lazy as all hell playing games. And I totally agree about the monitor stand, because even if you're that short, you should still raise it up, because that pole is an eyesore, and when you have it raised up, it makes it look like almost like they're floating, and it looks a lot more epic. Now the other thing, let me just quickly mention the cable, because I see some people already saying like, fix that one cable, it's not that hard to fix. He said it's too short, so that's something that he could just buy a longer cable down the road. So just so people know, what do you think about his attempt at putting personality, with the poster and the hats and things like that?
I dig it. It's initially I was like, holy crap, that guy's got a swastika on his chest. And then I remember it was from a movie, and the name is like American History X. Yeah. And then I was like, okay, I get it. So that's cool. I like, like the temporary hangers for the hats. Like he's trying. I think it's cool. I don't really have much else to say about it personality wise.
So what is like your final thoughts? If one thing you could change right now,
sure,
what would it be?
One thing I just thought about, if that cable's too short and you've got that monitor that's hanging off your desk like almost halfway, like why not just scoot the whole pole over a little bit, and then that right monitor will cover that cable a little bit better. You'll have some more slack in the cable. And then if you raise the monitors up, you potentially could be able to even stand those speakers up vertically.
Mm-hmm. That's that's a good way to look at it. One thing I would change, I don't know, because it's so limited when you're in a place that you don't have a lot of authority. Even though it's where he sleeps and whatnot, he can't really do anything crazy. But I do like how he set everything up. I like that he's got the PC on the desk. Like, this is a setup that I think it works. It looks good. Honestly, I don't really have anything I would change. It's pretty legit, if you ask me.
Yeah.
So overall, I think it's a great setup. We'll talk about it later in scores to see how it actually did. Any final thoughts for him?
No, I think it's good for what he's working with, I guess.
Sweet. All right. Next setup is submitted by Brandon. This is definitely a different setup, and a lot of thoughts are definitely going to be shared. This was submitted by Brandon, as I said, and he is how old?
Brandon is 16.
16. He is 19, which...
Damn it.
I mean, when you look at this, and here I am, I'm probably going to get hate. I always get hate for age-related things, but when I look at this, I don't think, oh, that's definitely going to be someone that is 18, 19, like older. It does look like a younger person setup, but the reality is that this is like a standard setup. People that don't really care too much about setups, they have these older kind of desks and this awkward layout, which... What do you think about the layout first off? Do you think that the desk completely ruins his attempt at a nice setup, or do you think it's not that bad?
I don't think it's bad. It definitely looks like more of a desk that you would see kind of in a cubicle or an office, but I think he's doing okay. Like, he's made an attempt at kind of showing off some of his games and his consoles. So I think it works on some levels. Not the best at managing his cables. I'm not sure what that red one is that's coming out of the floor. But I think the desk is okay. Like, he's probably got a smaller room, and that's why it's in the corner. But I think it's okay.
Yeah, so I know that a lot of people, because we're in this day and age where people, I'm sure this is how it's always been, people just judge each other based off of stuff because they don't have the nicest desk or whatever. But for the first time ever, I see this desk and I'm like, wow, this actually really works for this guy. He's got his Xbox One, his 360, his DVR, I guess, something like that. And then he does have an empty shelf, which is good and kind of not great for the aesthetics. But it was made for what he needed, because otherwise, if he had a flat tabletop or something like that, where would he put all those things? Where would it look presentable? So I actually, for once, like these older desks in this scenario because it works that well. My other thing is the PC. Is it a good spot? Maybe it's not the best because he could utilize that to get another monitor. But does it work? Yeah, it definitely works. What do you think about the PC placement?
Yeah, I mean, I think I used to have a setup similar where I didn't really want to put it on the floor. I was in a really small apartment. My dogs were running around like crazy. So I think it's fine up there.
Yeah.
Being that the floor is wood, it wouldn't hurt to slip it down between, it looks like his bed and that. But he probably wants that little window to kind of show off his graphics card. It definitely is going to make, running cables to the PC easier than having it all the way, on the outside edge of that desk there.
Yeah.
I don't think being on the inside is possible because that's pretty tight on leg space as it is.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
But maybe since he has that open shelf, put your, whatever that is on the bottom right, on the other open shelf, put your Xbox 360 or Xbox One where you've got your DS games up on the top. It'll still fit in there. And maybe your tower can fit down in one of the cubbies if you take a shelf out, and then you do have room for dual monitors.
It's a good idea. Yeah, no, that would definitely work. I mean, that's using the desk to his advantage, and that's why these things are really nice, because those little cubby holes. And if you look, you have the cable management hole already set up in the other slots. It's not that hard to take a hole out. So that's the other thing. I see it like the one cable coming through where the 360 is, and down on the bottom over there. Use that back piece as your cable management help. Like, put the hole through it. Feed the cable through there. Don't try to make it visual where you're seeing the cables go up and down and whatnot. And then, I still don't know what that cable is coming out of the floor. Maybe he's running Ethernet or...
Yeah, it looks like it's probably Ethernet, but I mean, if you need to, just put like a little connector where, you can connect the red cable to it. If it's too short, connect it on the floor, and then add a little extension that goes up to your computer, and then you can hide it with like just like a little, I don't know, plastic cable hider against the floor.
Yeah.
Until you get it behind where the consoles are at, and then you can run it up to the computer, because that's definitely the biggest eyesore of the whole system.
Which is exactly why cable management is so important, because if there was tons of cables under there, it honestly wouldn't be that bad, because you'd be like, oh, he's just really bad at cable management. But when everything's pretty neat, and you just see this one colored cable go across, it's like, oh, okay, you should fix that. Now, the other thing I would say is personality. He does have a guitar there. That's cool. But that's about it. I mean, we see some games and then like one little character, but that's really it. I don't know too much about you. All I know is you like console gaming, and that's about it. And
I'd agree.
You're like, what else could he do to make that better?
I mean, we can see that there's a little bit of like a shelf poking in from the left side, that little white piece. So maybe he's got a bunch of personality up there, and he just couldn't fit it into one picture. But maybe some posters, maybe a little bit more personalized like desktop background might even help a little bit, even though it's something throwaway. I think that would definitely help, or adding additional, like, I can't tell if that's a pop vinyl or if it's just like a Pokemon figurine or something, but add some more of those. You've got a lot of real estate underneath those cubbies there that can help hide your keyboard and mouse wire, and then add more personality to it.
Yeah, especially if you're not feeding cables through those main two. Well, I see you're feeding through the right one, but on the left one, that's just like a circle on your desk. Put something to cover that up. That way we're not seeing that. But yeah, I definitely agree. Throw in some personality and it will look a lot better. All right, let's go to the next setup. Next setup is submitted by Alex. Taking a look at this, of course, it's a mess. But with that in mind, how old do you think he is?
Judging by like the paper calendars and like it definitely looks like a business type setup. I would say he's probably like 35.
And here's the funny thing.
He better not be 12.
He's 14.
Oh, you're kidding.
And here's exactly my thought process. You look at this, and it looked like his dad's office that was set up. And then he's like, Dad, get out of the office. This is mine now. And exactly that's what happened. He put up his GTA map. He's like, I got Los Santos up there. He took all the cables and everything, made it a complete mess. It just looks like really a work office that was taken over by a kid. And I don't mean that like in a mean way, but I guess it sounds like it, so we'll just go with that. It definitely looks like he took control, because I doubt his dad comes in here and still does work. You know what I mean? Like,
well, yeah, there's a house phone.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like this is like dad's office, and the kid came in and he's like, hey, let me put up my GTA 5 like map, and then let me take a picture real quick.
Which is weird, because I mean, it's not like he thought he was going to get a good score. I mean, look how awful the cable management is. Lack of cable management. There was no attempt, especially when you have a desk like that. You know how easy it is to fix that? And then the other thing is the monitors. I don't even know what the hell you're thinking. That's just awful. Like, how is that? How is the usability there? Like, how do you look at that and say, wow, this is really comfortable. This really works. Like, it's just... It makes no sense. Your laptop all the way to the left side, I guess that's not a bad spot for it.
I think those are just staged.
Probably. Yeah,
I think those are his things. He has the laptop and the iPhone 5C and the chair, and then the rest is his dad's office.
Yeah, he's just like, Dad, let me take a pic real quick. That's probably what it is. Because the GTA 5 poster just looks so out of place. It makes no sense.
Yeah, I don't know anybody his age that decides to just be like, I'm gonna put a real serene photo of a dock on my desktop. And he just came in with his MSI mouse pad and GTA map. It was like, this is going to be mine for the day, Dad.
Yeah. And his dad's just like, bro, I got work to do. It's like, I know. And I have work to do too. So it definitely has that office feel taken over by a kid.
Yeah.
But let's pretend that this is really his.
Okay.
I would say, the left monitor, it's not awful, but when you, I think, is that what company is that? I can't even.
Sort of looks like a Dell, maybe.
Yeah, because the one on the right's a Dell too. So
the one on the right's not bad. Like that's got tiny little bezels on it.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Which is why I would say, honestly, ditch the left screen unless you really need that dual monitor setup, because that one screen in that corner and the way that you're sitting would look epic. Just clean it up. Honestly, clean it up, and then worry about taking everything off the walls and fixing all of that. Because right now, it just looks like a complete and utter mess. So let's pretend it's his. What word of advice would you give him?
I don't even know where to start, man.
Yeah.
I mean, 10 out of 10, perfect setup.
Oh, sweet.
Yeah. Okay, saying if this was his, I would definitely try and put some more personality. Like I would take down like the old calendars off the wall, put up some more posters, change the desktop background, take some, thick, super heavy Velcro like you've been doing in your shed and put those, surge protectors up behind that backing on the desk, make it a little bit more presentable. It's definitely going to be easy to do considering, that amount of space you have to just stick shit to on the back there.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Change out the blinds. Those are kind of just chirpy a little bit. And just kind of add to the overall feel. Like I feel like I walked into like a AAA office.
Yeah, probably. I think that's maybe that's what we're seeing. Yeah. That's exactly what it is.
This is his work office.
Yeah. And people are telling us that the left screen is a BenQ, which I thought for a second, but I'm like, that's got to be an older one. And now that I said that, people are gonna be like, dude, that's one of the top of the lines.
That's 144 hertz, bro. That's a 4K panel.
Bro, do you even know? It's like, that's exactly what people are gonna tell me. It doesn't it look really old though? Maybe I'm just being a douche. I don't know.
It's definitely not a new one.
Yeah.
It's probably VGA.
Yeah, probably. Because I'm not gonna stop because people are gonna roast me. So we're gonna leave it at that. And then
how old did you say he was?
14.
14? Ooh, those tissues look suspect now.
I was just about to say something about that because people, now that they know his age, they see the tissues right away. They're like, bro, why do you even need tissues? Meanwhile, he probably has a cold and, he's just blowing his nose and people are just taking it to the next level. Any final thoughts for our man, Alex?
Start over.
Honestly, though, that's the best thing to do with this. Like, completely take everything out and start over. You know how much easier that would be?
It'd be great.
Yeah, definitely do that. Anyways, let's go to the next setup. Next setup is submitted by Joakim. Something like that. This is the thumbnail. This is what a lot of people are talking about. And I said this earlier, if you take it with like a nice camera, it automatically looks 100% better than it actually is. Not saying that this is terrible, but I'm just saying, look at that quality. Completely changes the game. So let's see. He is how old?
He is 17.
22. So
I'm bad at this today.
Yeah. That's the thing with the setup. I don't hate it because of the simplicity and the white look and everything. I mean, it looks insanely clean. I don't know how often you actually have to clean that desk and the walls and everything, but you can't tell age because the personality is not really there. And I'm not saying that there is no personality here. Maybe he really loves animals and he just loves that clean look. That is definitely a theme, but you can't tell age, so I don't fault you for getting that wrong, even though the next one, if you get it wrong, we're going to have to talk after the show.
All right.
But so let's see. What he said is he used to play a lot of Counter-Strike, but times have changed. He got older. He doesn't really game that much. Sometimes he'll do GTA, but for the most part, he just, likes to chill. He does photography and things like that. So this is what he's doing. This is with that in mind. I mean, what do you have to say? It is a very simple setup, but what would you say?
It is. It's very simple. You can't help but like it. I think a lot of it has to do with the picture, like you were saying. If the two photos up above were like photos he took at the zoo, then I think that adds, infinitely more, personality to it. But for some reason, I don't think they are. They're still cool. Very clean setup. I think wire management looks really nice. The only cables you see are like the mouse, the keyboard, and the headphones. I definitely think he's probably from overseas, judging by like the square light switch and the doorknob and stuff, plus his name. But I think it's probably, maybe like I don't know. It's just super freaking clean. I really like this setup. I think it's, you could be very productive right there. There's no distractions.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, and I think another thing, and this is a little hint if you're going to submit to Pimp My Setup, put like a Justin Maller wallpaper, because they always just seem to like give that punch right at the end. Yeah. And I like that. And I like his sound system. I think, what are those, the A5 Plus? I have the A2, so I guess that's just the bigger one. So probably sounds amazing. So imagine just sitting there, playing some music, doing some work. It's probably a very nice, relaxing environment. And like you said, it's, there's not a lot to get distracted with. Now, the only thing I would say is, like, underneath the desk, that Signum is about to snap in half. And like, I appreciate you using that, because I could tell that it really put your wire management over the top. But this big brick right here shouldn't be in the Signum, because that's what's causing the huge ass bend. And trust me, it's a very cheap piece of equipment that will just snap in half. The Signum will literally snap in half. So you might think it works now, but when it does snap, you're going to be like, shit. So what are your thoughts on that? Because it's not like it's unpresentable, but it does look a little clustered up.
I think it's the first time I've heard you say that like someone's using the Signum incorrectly, which is interesting. But I mean, just if you throw Velcro on that power strip, you could put it next to the Signum, and then it's not going to bow like that.
And then feed into it. Yeah, that's how you should use it.
And I think the strange thing is he has that Pioneer like stereo down there on the floor. That's not his computer.
Yeah, and that's
because all the wires go off to the side. And I think that there probably is a little bit more personality to the system than we're seeing in the pictures, because he does have the IKEA like RGB LED controller under his desk as well.
Which he didn't send any pictures with the lights on. So
so I think that it probably looks pretty cool at night or when he's got the lights off.
Yeah, and the other thing I should mention is on the right side where the chair is. When he opens that up, that's where his PC is, just for people wondering. And the other thing I want to mention is he should get something for his headphones. That's literally an eyesore if you were to look at that side. Just get something hanging on the desk or on the wall. That's all you need to do. It's a very, very nice setup. Yep. But the under the desk did scare me a little when I saw that. I was like, dude, that is going to snap in half. And you know how much of a pain in the ass that will be to fix? You're going to have to buy a new one. You're going to have to fix the cables.
Use promo code.
Yeah, well, you could do swashin for 0% off, or soon Flamingo for 10% off. No, I'm just kidding. Hopefully, maybe one day. You never know. You never know.
Yeah. I saw some people in chat were saying, get some figurines. Like that's an easy thing to say, but for somebody that doesn't have any figurines on their table, maybe they're not into that. But when somebody has one, then it's safe to say get more. You know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure. And I mean, when I look at that right side of the wall, part of me does want a little shelf there. That would look nice. Throwing a little bit of personality more than you already have, that would take it over the top for me. But any final thoughts from?
No, I think we kind of covered everything. But super clean. I'm sure it's a good workspace to use.
Definitely. All right, next setup submitted by Rob. Rob was on the show before, and it was an episode with Cookie. That's all I remember, but it was a while back. Okay. And he completely changed his setup. I mean, completely. So I'm happy that he's listened to what I had to say, because tons of improvements have been made. But the first thing, and before I even say his age and everything, I look at the bowl and I'm like, dude, you got to get some paint and just touch up those spots. It's a complete, like, I looked at it, I'm like, oh, there's a lot of specks of white all over the place. So just do some touch up paint. That really will make a difference. But anyways, looking at this, how old do you think he is?
I hope he's not older than 18.
And why do you say that?
It's a little too much. Like, I feel like that would freak a chick out if you walked in and saw like that much stuff on the wall. Like, Okay. I don't know.
Yeah. So now that you said that, how old do you think he actually is?
He's probably like 28.
He's 44. No, I'm just kidding. He's he's only 15. So
okay, good.
Yeah,
yeah,
it's understandable. Yeah,
you got 3 years to change it around again, buddy.
Yeah, and you're just saying like stuff that he has like by the light switch and all that stuff. Like
there's just no rhyme or reason to it.
Okay, all right.
You know, like some of the stuff is centered, but then some of it's just like.
Oh, it's just randomly placed. Yeah.
Yeah, he had his eyes closed and just bounced into the wall, and that's where it stayed.
Makes no sense because when you have, and I said this in the last episode that he was on, when you are a fan of something like the Yankees, you know how many damn things you could put up on the wall to make it look epic? Get a jersey that's framed, get a hat shelf, get some playing cards, get the balls in a glass case. There are so many things you could do to take this to the next level and show that you're a true fan. Because to me, I look at this and I think he went on Fathead and just ordered the simple set and just threw it up wherever he could. But with the walls and all that aside, taking a look at his actual desk portion,
yes,
what would you say? Because it is definitely changed from his last setup.
Yeah, I don't remember the last one, but I mean, that's pretty sick. He's got the New York skyline, across all 3 monitors. That's really cool. Really clean desk setup. You can tell he gathered all the wires to that one table leg and brought it down to his PC. It looks like those, they could be sunglasses. They're probably Gunners, which is cool. I like, that adds a little bit of personality to it. But it's definitely clean, and I like that it's all black and white.
Especially with that Yeti. That Yeti, I think, was a nice touch. Even though I'm not like the biggest fan of the Yeti, I like that he has that one because it just
because that's the upgraded one too, I think.
The XLR one or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's nice. It definitely looks good. So here's the thing. Like, we'll look under his desk. He improved his cable management because if I remember correctly, it was awful in the last one. I told him, and people always make fun of me for saying, get a Signum. And people are like, dude, that's all you say. Like, do you even care about the cable management? You just throw stuff in the Signum. Look at the difference it made. From afar, you can't really even tell that he has cables underneath shoved into a Signum. Now, I know a lot of people also give me crap because people just shove stuff into the Signum. I recommend that you at least cable, you put a Velcro strap on it, put a tie wrap. And then if you need to pull it out of the Signum, it's cable managed and it's easy to get to. Here, it does look like he may have just thrown it around a bit. I can't really tell. I'm not going to judge based on that. But as you said earlier, something I did in the shed was mounted the power strip under the desk and fed it through the Signum. It looks like he has a power strip in there. And I don't recommend doing that. But what do you think about him running the cables down the leg to the PC? That's pretty slick, right?
Yeah, I definitely like that. I don't think it can get, much cleaner than that given the desk he has.
Yeah.
So I give him a lot of credit for that.
Definitely a nice addition. I like that the PC goes with everything as well.
And the chair too. The chair's, sick GT Omega chair, better than the chair I have. I skimped on mine and I regret it every day. But it just the setup itself really is sick. If you could take that out and put it in the last guy's room with just all the white walls, it'd be the sickest setup of the day.
Oh yeah.
But because of the blue walls and the super awkward Yankee stuff, I think it's weird. And I have no idea what's hanging from the ceiling, but that's kind of throwing me off too.
Oh yeah, I don't know what that is, and I don't know if I want to know. But the other thing I'll say is GT Omega, use coupon code Flamingo for 5% off your purchase. Anyways, got to do that. So I totally agree. The actual setup portion is epic. Literally, he stepped his game up so much. If someone can find that episode that he was in, let me know and I'll tweet it later. That way you guys can compare. But yeah, it's the surrounding area, which is so weird because normally it's vice versa. The room is awesome. It's really nice and clean, but the desk setup is awful. And it's just very, very weird. So, all right, let's go to the next and final setup submitted by Jaskaran.
Good luck.
Well, his name's, we'll just say Jas. That works. So this is Jas. Let's see. How old is he? Okay. How old do you think he is?
He is definitely 14.
14. He is 19.
Friggin' Pikachu.
Is that what?
Pikachu's the sleeper, man.
Yeah, because it's weird. Pokemon, I didn't know that it was still as popular as it was. insanely popular right now. Very, very popular.
I mean, I'm 28, and I remember Pokemon was a thing when I was in junior high. So I have a hard time believing that it's, you know, that people my age are still into it, or even half my age.
It's crazy. Okay, so this is what he had to say. He is a university student. He's from Canada. He uses his setup mainly for schoolwork and occasional gaming. It is in his bedroom, something that he's not really a fan of, but it happens. And he does want to upgrade his monitor down the road to an ultra wide that will be mounted on the wall. So we're gonna, judge it based on how it looks today, but that's just some food for thought. Sure. So we have this shot, and then we have this shot. This is very cool. What are your thoughts on like the posters like that? Do you think it's overwhelming, or do you think that's like really, really cool?
I think it's sick.
Yeah.
I didn't realize there was a second picture at first when I was looking at it, and then when I clicked over, I was like, "There's the personality." So I feel like it's a work in progress, and he's hopefully is going to continue moving the other way. Because I feel like having a whole room, covered in posters like that.
Cool.
I mean, there's not that many setups that have more personality than that second picture shows.
Yeah.
The first picture, it kind of looks like it's lacking, but when you see the whole room, it's pretty freaking sick.
Yeah. And honestly, what I really love about it is that it's not like he just gets random posters and puts it up. This literally tells what he loves. He loves the Maple Leafs, the Raptors, the Blue Jays. He loves Iron Man. Like, he loves all those superheroes. He loves
Drake.
Yeah, like Kendrick Lamar, like all that stuff. That is him, and I just think that's the coolest thing ever, and I agree. I hope that he carries it through the whole setup. It's kind of like those people that put comic books all over their wall. It's the same thing, and I think it's an awesome way to dress up your setup. But I agree. The first picture, you look at it and you're like, "Ooh, like, okay, that's kind of boring." And that wall color is just, for me, it's just hideous. It's like way too much. But that might be his favorite color. So you know what? I'm going to stop being a douche. But what do you think about the stickers? Do you think that's like a no-no, or do you think whatever? Who cares?
I personally don't like them. Like, I get, it's those throwaway stickers that come with your phone or a CD or brands you like. But to me, it definitely ruins the look of the desk. Like, if you just cover that corner up, you're like, oh, shoot, that's really nice. And then you're like, oh, it kind of just takes away from the overall cleanliness of the workspace.
Yeah. Who knows, though? Maybe it's another work in progress like his walls, and soon his whole desk will just be stickers. And I mean,
well, then I'm going to say stop right where you're at on that project, my man.
He's probably like sitting there like, well, my updated setup already has triple the amount of stickers it had in that picture. So
yeah,
you suck it. But yeah, I mean, it's okay. The bin underneath, kind of an eyesore, but also very, very, very useful for him, because that's why his desktop is so clean, because all the crap that he was able to shove in there. Now, because he has so much room, do you think that he should move that so it's to the side of the desk instead of being under, right? Because it takes up that leg space.
Yeah, I mean, at least move it to the outside of the table leg. It looks like there's enough space between where his door is at and where his desk is for that to fit on the outside. And it would definitely make it to where it's not encroaching on his leg space for sure.
Yeah. I'm trying to read the chat.
People are freaking out because the second picture, his monitor's on top of a graphics card box. And I think that's just kind of his subtle way of throwing in there that he has a GTX 960.
Yeah. I actually have a funny story about that. He originally submitted the setup with the picture that you're the one with the posters on the wall, right? Okay. And then I told him, I said, hey, I need a good picture of the actual setup. And I said, you should probably take the box off. And then guess what? The first photo is the updated picture that he sent me. So I kept the other one in because I wanted to show you the wall. So don't worry about the, because I see everyone's like, oh my God, what is happening? Because trust me, I doubt he was like, okay, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to put this box under because I am a troll. Like, no, he cleaned it up. He made it look better. But it probably is too low for him anyways, which is why he did that. And it's because it's a small monitor. Maybe if you're going to upgrade, don't do anything. But if you aren't for a while, you should get a wall mount or an arm or something to raise it, because it does look very, very low.
And for the price that you can get a monitor's arm off of Amazon, I mean, I got a dual monitor one for like $30. So if you even just get a single monitor one where you can make it height adjustable, like just freaking do it with your allowance.
Yeah, definitely do that. And I think overall, I mean, the desktop is clean. It does look a little weird, like you are kind of centered, but my OCD that I have is just kind of like, is he not really centered at all? It just looks a little like set it up and that was it. Like he kind of threw it on the desk and he's like, all right, we got a computer set up. So little weird, but overall I can appreciate his cable management, the vacuum floors, the cable management coming out of the PC looks pretty nice, and it's on a piece of wood. And I think that overall it's not a bad setup, and I can't wait to see the progression of it. So yeah, any final thoughts for him?
No, I think he's done a good job. I do like, like you were saying, the PC's on a piece of wood. You can even tell that behind his PC, he has his power strip behind it on the piece of wood. So even that's kind of out of the way.
Oh, yeah.
I think that's nice. He's got a shelf to the right where he's got all his games at. That's all nice and organized. Usually if it's something on the edge of their picture, that's kind of where shit falls apart and you start to see the mess. But that's still really organized. So I really like the setup, and I would like to see him continue putting more posters along the back wall and then pull those stickers off the desk.
Yeah, now out of spite, he's going to pull all the posters off and put more stickers on.
Stickers all over the walls.
Or what you should do is you should get your posters, wrap them around your desk, and get them like, what do they do, like vinyl wraps or something?
Mod Podge, they can like glue them down or whatever.
Do that.
That'd be kind of cool.
That'd actually be really cool if you put take little portions of the poster, like the logos and stuff. That would look dope. But that's if you really want to go crazy. And those tabletops are really cheap anyway. Okay, anyways, let's talk about the scores to wrap up this episode. Again, guys, they're broken up into 5 different categories. I think that they were very fair scores. You may not agree, but we don't care because we're just doing what we got to do. So first setup, David, he walked away with a 70. Brandon walked away with a 64. Alex got a 34. Get out of your dad's office or fix it up. Joakim, something like that, got a 77 and tied for first place, which everyone's like, what? He should have got a 95. Then we have Rob, who got the 77, which people are like, what the hell? How did he get first place? So I know it's a whole thing. And then Jaskaran, Jazz, whatever, got a 72. So I guess quickly we should talk about the score for Joakim. What was it that killed it for you? You put 3 for accessories.
Yeah, I definitely think that it was lacking in the accessory department, especially knowing that he likes photography. If he had that shelf if he added a shelf on the side and maybe had like a camera or even some vintage cameras, I think that would add a ton of personality to it. I just thought that it's super clean, but there's not a ton of, accessories that you can see or, personality for that matter.
Yeah. And I also didn't give it like the best score. I gave it a 6 for accessories because I saw exactly what you saw. And theme, we still struggled to find an actual theme in a setup like that. And then I guess we'll go to Rob's setup real quick. What we docked points for on his was also theme because that lack of proper placement and everything kind of kills the whole theme. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
So,
it's not too cohesive.
Yeah, it's just a little all over the place. But there we go. Normally we don't do explanations, but I know we're going to get insane hate for not giving Joaquin that insane first place 99 score. But
yeah, if you cut Rob's system out and transplant it in Joaquin's room, he
100.
kills that other setup.
Yeah.
But if you put Joaquim's in the other room, in Rob's room, it's going to be a pretty low score at that point.
Oh yeah.
So that's kind of the justification for why they're kind of tied. One's got a sick room, one's got a sick setup, and they're both kind of...
It's just so weird, like how that works. But
yeah.
So there we go, guys. Don't forget to check out Sweepoly.com, the online cash giveaway that benefits Children's Hospital. The link is going to be down below in the uploaded version of the show. If you're watching live, stay tuned for that. And don't forget, my name's Matt Philly. You can find me on Twitter at Matt Philly.
And I'm NMoosekeys. Find me pretty much everywhere at NMoosekeys.
Link down below if you guys can't spell. So there we go, guys. Thanks so much for watching episode number 61, recorded live on November 25th, 2015. Have a very happy, wonderful Thanksgiving if you celebrate it from America. If not, have a great Thursday. I guess that's how they say it. Okay. Yeah. Thanks for watching, guys. Catch you on the flippity flop.